Here we go. The usual sound issues at the beginning have hopefully disappeared, and I'm playing against Bouvard91. Also had some board issues, but I believe we're good to go now. And we're playing a... what do we call this thing? It's not really Grunfeld and it's not really a Samish. It's sort of... I'll talk to the guys who are still claiming there's no sound. We do have sound now. And I was trying to figure out what this opening is called. It's not really Grunfeld and it's not really a Samish. So it's sort of a... Grunish? Is that what we call it? And where you play f3, trying to get a Samish after bishop g7. And if people play d5 as Bouvard991 did, then the point is after takes you go e4 and there's no knight to exchange on c3. So the line we have on the board is a big theoretical line. After e5, d5, black normally plays c6 or castles. It's very sharp. I believe white is supposed to have good chances here, but I'm not that much in tune with the latest developments. Knight c4, however, is not gonna enter as a recent development because I can take it. Sorry, Bouvard91. LPDO, as I learned from a John Nunn book once, loose pieces drop off. Is that what we call it? So yeah, the game is more or less decided. I have a good position and an extra piece, which normally is one of these scenarios where I excel at. I'm trying to checkmate him quickly by going h4, h5, taking on g6, and hoping for the end to be near. Bishop h6. My plan is very simplistic. I want to go d6 check, followed by bishop takes g7, queen h6, and then deliver checkmate. Not sure about the order, but I think starting with this can't be too bad. Where is the checkmate? Don't see a checkmate yet. I am a rook up, like I can take it on f7 anytime I want. But I do not see how to end the game. And that's one way to end it, by having Bouvard91 resign. Sorry, Bouvard, thank you for the game. Do we have anybody else who wants to play a game of chess? Mr. PJK. I'm gonna stick to my policy of, playing some guys I've never played to begin with, and then I'll look for some strong opponents, but in general I like to keep a good mix, and of course I like to give everyone a chance to play and get crushed. I don't really want to inspire anybody by giving them a chance or giving away draws or anything. I'm trying to win every game. It doesn't always work, and if it doesn't work, I tend to go on full-blown tilt and play much worse. But for now, I've won my first game, so I'm mildly optimistic. I played e4 on this one, and we have a main line, Ruy Lopez. Rook e1 is the classical main move here. d3 is gaining in popularity as well. But for this game, I'm gonna stick with the main stuff. PJK plays d6, castles followed by d5 is my favorite. And after d6, I'm gonna continue pretending I'm a classical e4 player, play c3, castles, and h3. And we've reached one major branch where knight a5, the Chigorin is one line, knight b8, the Breyer is another, the Zaitsev, bishop b7, the third main line. For knight a5, not much choice. You want to keep this bishop, so you go bishop c2, c5, d4, and this line has its own huge body of theory. Let's see which line PJK chooses. Bishop d7, one of the many lines. Since I'm not a habitual e4 player, I can't claim lots of expertise here. Looks like PJK knows the stuff better than me. Knight f1 is a typical Ruy Lopez maneuver. You want to put this knight either on e3 or g3. And I'm a little surprised by g6. It's not that usual in this position, or so I would guess. So I'll try to exploit it by going bishop g5. Maybe not the most standard move, but with g6 played, makes a lot of sense to me. I want to go knight e3, then maybe take on f6, put a knight on d5, and put some pressure. Knight c6 back does not discourage me from going knight e3 as far as I can tell. After takes, my pieces are very well positioned for any opening in the center. So I quite like my position here. Knight h5 looks a bit like panic because my knight can jump into d5 with tempo. I don't see a way to win material yet, but the black position becomes very dangerous. And I actually do see a way to grab a pawn, if nothing else, with de5 or dc5, same story. I'll take here. And after de, I can't spot anything stronger off the top of my head. Then going knight takes e5, queen d6 looks promising, but then after f6, seems like black is sticking around for a bit. So I believe I'm just gonna take on e5 and enjoy my extra pawn. Might be more than a pawn, I'm not 100% sure how black wants to keep his material together then, because after de5, knight e5, if the bishop moves, I can take on d8, followed by taking on e7. PJK plays differently, but that might not help his situation. He goes f6, probably he's spotted that I can take on e5 with the knight. But now he has to take, and I'm going to take on d6. Once again, putting lots of pressure on the black position. f6 is weak, e7 is weak. Lot of problems. And I read some comments in the chat of people licking their wounds, saying how badly they played against me, how nervous they got when their game suddenly started. And of course, that's exactly what I'm hoping for. I want people awestruck and blundering all their pieces, or at least all their pawns. Like, I'll take the pawns. I don't need the pieces all the time. And it seems like I have a good chance here against PJK to overload his defenses. I just played rook 81, threatening bishop f6, followed by queen d7. And it's very hard for black to keep everything together. e5 is in the air, winning a piece as well. If nothing else, I can take on c5. PJ goes bishop to e8. The simpleton in me, which tends to win such arguments, just wants to take on d8 and then push e5 and win a piece. But the sadist wants to keep queens on the board. It looks like sadist Jan decided to overrule simpleton Jan in this case and go queen takes c5. When, yeah, I'm a couple pawns up with a looming attack, so things look quite grim. Once again, PJ is trying to free himself from this agony by exchanging queens. But nah, I want to keep them on the board. Rook d6 now also threatens rook takes c6, picking up a piece, apart from the usual threat of e5, exploring the weakened position of that guy. There's rook c8, and it's time to push Emil the e-pawn. What do we call e-pawns? PJK resigns now here. I believe his position is crumbling. Good game. I think the trouble started with the move g6. That feels wrong to me in this position. I don't know the theory that well. I believe c takes d followed by any rook to c8 is probably normal. I've seen maneuvers like knight c4 followed by knight b6. I'm sure there's a lot of theory here, but g6 didn't feel essential somehow. Must find new opponent. Let's play against Mr. Theoretisch. Sorry for the adjusting my own stupidity. I cut it out in a position where I had to scroll a little earlier. I was cut out like the board and the little names and then randomly place them somewhere, which our designers aren't that happy with me doing that, but gotta entertain myself. Anyway, I cut it out in a weird spot and looks like Theo might not be around, rated 2006. We shall find out. Some questions how to challenge me. I believe below my little talkie window You can hover over my name and click on challenge there. I'm called Jan. And we have a game here, d4. I shall bring the knight into play by going knight f6. He goes c4. And I'll play g6. I think this might be the one game per month where I dare to play the King's Indian. Not my favorite opening. I don't like it and I don't know it. But I can't play e6, d5 every game without boring you guys to sleep. So good old King's Indian. Bishop e2, e5. Castles, knight c6. This is where the money's at. d5, knight e7. Looks like Theo has studied this. Goes b4 when black has a choice between knight h5 and a5. I'll go for knight h5. And we'll see what he has up his sleeve. Rook e1 or g3 are the two main moves here. I've never had this position with black. I might have played it with white once or twice. Yeah, before the so-called bayonet attack came into fashion in the 90s when Vladimir Kramnik used it to crush everybody, included Mr. Garry Kasparov. And c5 is a bit of a sideline. Haven't seen that one for a while. Clearing, I would guess, the c4 square for the bishop after knight f4. Not sure how I'm supposed to react. I'll go knight f4 because it feels natural. But I'm not sure if that's the way to do it. Can pre-move takes. If he takes in general, my bishop on g7 gets a very nice view along this diagonal. Therefore, I don't think it's a good idea. Even though it might be theory to take and go rook c1. Looks vaguely familiar. But yeah, to my mind, bishop to c4 was the most natural move. He takes on d6 when it's very tempting to grab this bishop, and I think that's what I'm going to do. It might look strange because it's his quote-unquote bad bishop, but still an important bishop, which helps especially to defend against a kingside attack. Like now after f5, there's already ideas with f takes e4, followed by bishop g4 in the air. Knight g5 is a good reaction. Actually, the second I played f5, I was thinking, maybe should have prepared that with h6. But no time for regrets. What to do now? I think I'll take here. Once again, not the most typical move. Maybe someone who plays the King's Indian regularly is already like shouting at the screen, what is this guy doing? But it looked natural to me to free the d4 square for my knight, especially now that his light square bishop has disappeared. This looked like a decent plan to me. I don't want anything in particular. I want to get my pieces out. Bishop g5. I guess I should put my queen here. Could make a case for other squares like e8 or even d7 and f7. My queen b6 looks the most natural. Targeting this pawn, preparing to just continue developing with bishop d7 or whatnot. Queen b5 might be a good move. Yeah, well played. Not sure I want to exchange queens. Actually, I don't think I do. Therefore, I'll take one step back and then hopefully two forward in a minute. The point is I want to go bishop d7 with tempo. And then, if I can, put my queen on b6 again. Here we go. When, yeah, we've included rook c1 and bishop d7. I'm not sure whom that hurts or favors. But in general, I think my position should be quite alright. Have the bishops, have the d4 square. I have some squares on the queen side. I can maybe play a5. Now after knight e2, remember my earlier speech about being happy to get rid of that bishop. Now we can see there's some trouble looming on this diagonal. Not sure if I should take here first or not, but it looks like a good moment because he has to recapture with the knight. Now his pieces are a little uncoordinated and I can switch to my other hobby, which is pawn grabbing. g4 looks like a bit of an overreaction. The idea is to get to this pawn, but this square has become a little weak in the process, and knight arriving to f3 is going to be pretty painful. Queen e3, let's give it a check. And that's clever actually. I thought I was already grabbing material, but there's not a lot of material to be grabbed just yet. So once again, I'm gonna have to play it prosaically, if if that's a word. Grab another pawn. I'm gonna try not to get mated over the next couple moves. And not to lose on time. Tall order, both these things. Okay, I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit. Apologies for the drop in quality of play and of wise commentary. But theoretisch resigns, yay me. Thrilling to play King's Indian. Must find new opponent. Mr. Easy Rider 27 maybe. Oops. Almost there. Ooh, one needs a lot of touch. Here we are. Easy Rider, I'll go e4. He goes g6. Had a bunch of e4 g6s in my recent match against John Bartholomew. Not sure what I want to do here. I'll go c4. I played knight c3 a fair amount, but now we're back into King's Indian territory. Played one e4, did make an honest effort, but we're back to this stuff. e5, this knight b7 e5 line doesn't have a great reputation. It's considered to be a little passive. Of course it's playable, but I always quite liked it for white. And instead of bishop e3, there's a bunch of other options, but what I'm doing strikes me as very sensible. White controls the center, and the knight on d7 is a little less flexible than on a6. Therefore, people who want to play this more often than not put the knight on a6, which I always thought was a slightly better choice. For now, I don't have anything particular in mind. I just want to develop my pieces towards the center and then see what happens. Put this rook on c1 probably, maybe play b3, maybe b4, according to circumstances. And if he goes c5, which he does, his pawn on d6 should become quite weak. Sometimes this plan makes sense, but I have a feeling this might be the wrong moment for it. However, we're gonna reconsider in a minute. I could grab a pawn on d6, then queen takes, rook takes, knight takes c4. Doesn't strike me as that clear, so I'll play more cowardish or more circumspect, go b3, forcing him to go bishop f8, which is normally good news for white in this structure. Not sure about bishop g5. Well, why not? Kind of produces him to play bishop e7, which I'm not sure is a great accomplishment for me. After knight e3, as knight takes e4. Therefore, I'm gonna continue making half useful passes for now. See what happens. Black wants to go b5, but he's not really in time. Queen c7. Now I can go knight e3, which is a very welcome sight. Because now knight e4 no longer works, and I might be threatening bishop f6, followed by knight to d5. Let's see how Easy Rider 27 reacts. A lot of questions in the chat, sorry, I can't get to all of them. How to improve positional understanding? Not a clue. Play a lot, watch a lot of Grandmaster games. Check out my recent series with Artur Yusupov, which I believe covers one quite important aspect of that stuff. And yeah, hang in there. Not sure if the positional understanding on display in this game is all that stellar, to be completely honest with you. I'll go knight ed5, which, yeah, might be a little questionable from the positional understanding perspective. He has to go bishop d5, put a knight on d4, but I'm honestly not sure if that's such a bargain for me. I think it isn't, actually. I'm playing badly. Say one question about positional understanding and I ruin my position positionally. Ruin is a bit strong. I think I'm still sort of alright, but allowing this knight into d4 without gaining anything big in return doesn't feel like I've done all that well. And now, knight h5 I'm happy seeing. I'm not going to exchange those bishops. And going back, I'm very comfortable doing. But still, black is obviously doing alright here. Obviously it's a bit strong, but I think he's doing alright. H6, 3 pawns. I never need to be asked twice. Give me 3 pawns. I don't care what positional considerations are behind this. Good knight, bad bishop, whatever, it's a pawn. And it's a pawn that's guarding the black king, so I'm quite happy grabbing this guy. F5, I'll take here. Fe4 doesn't look like a good idea because of... I'm not sure where to put this knight, but to put it on G5 looks reasonable. I'm mentally picturing something like this move, which I'm going to play just to get him excited about knight G3, check, king G1, knight E2, bishop E2, and then see that it's not legal to take with the other knight. So I'm trying to play with his feelings. The price I might have to pay is to get checkmated. But now I'm threatening knight E6 check, so I believe my cunning plan might work. The problem is if I go knight takes F1, knight E6 check, king anywhere, knight takes C7, then he does have knight E2 check, and I would have to count pieces at the end of that line. I believe I come out a piece up, which is good news. Yeah, queen E7 doesn't seem to save the day, because after knight E6, queen E6 still doesn't work since this guy is pinned, and king F7 I can take either knight. I think I'll take this one. Doesn't look like I'm getting checkmated on the H file, and after knight E6, D6, I'm just a piece up, which with a bit of careful play should convert into a full point. Did I miss something? Ah, queen D4, yeah, that was possible, but not necessarily necessary. Rook H5, but there's no checkmate on the D file, or is there? On the H file, I meant. I don't think there is. I'll take it. Still don't see a mate. Easy Rider is trying to make something happen, but there's just not enough pieces he has to work with. Interesting game against Easy Rider. Yeah, I think it went wrong for him when he went H6, which was not strictly necessary, and after bishop H6. Pawn is a pawn and all that good stuff. Guess Simpleton Jan missed something, but I'm happy with that game. Not quite sure why. But it doesn't take much to get me happy. All I need is to win. It doesn't matter if I flecked someone in the cruelest possible fashion or if I played a great game. Okay, that doesn't happen much, frankly. But in general, I've never met a victory that I was unhappy with. Some other guys are different who fancy themselves artists and are saying, I want to play a nice game and all that. I have zero such complaints. I'll stick to E4, see how it goes, just for a change of scenery. I've sort of been pre-moving one knight F3 in my last 800 Banter Blitz videos. I need a bit of a switch, and this is a 3-minute game. It's one of those where I tend to forget the time. Therefore, mental note to self, hurry up. C5 is the main line here. Short castles is another move where I'm not very familiar with the theory. There's some sharp lines with E5 followed by H4, but I honestly do not know them. Well, this stuff, can you do this move order? I'm not that sure. Are you trying to bluff me, Julian1503? Can't bluff me when it comes to grabbing pawns. I will grab them and hope for the best. Because here the standard trick knight takes E4, I just play bishop E4, and I didn't see how that works. And if he has to go ED6, I'll have an extra pawn if I count correctly, which is one of my favorite things. Next to lasagna, extra pawns are up there. And it looks like Julian mixed up the move order. He's thinking now you can go do this C5 followed by queen A5 a move earlier, but after castles bishop D3 makes a big difference that this pawn is protected. And I like to see Julian thinking. Julian from Colombia. Let's see what he comes up with. I don't see anything better than ED6 when I'm going to castle, and the game continues, but pawn is a pawn, so I would have a pretty good start being a minute up and a pawn up. Some questions if I'm playing 3-minute or 5-minute games. I tend to accept both. I believe I slightly prefer 5-minute games because it gives me more time to talk nonsense, but I'm really comfortable accepting either challenge. Knight g4, this looks like a way to justify his earlier sins, but I don't really believe it. After de7, if bishop c3 I just take back, and after rook e8 I can go here, so he's not in time for any shenanigans with queen c5 threatening mate or whatnot. And if the knight is to retreat, or has to retreat after bishop c3, bc3, black's position is going to be fairly grim. I think he's going to take on c3 because, yeah, to return without having the mission accomplished is going to be a little sad. So at least he's going to try to double my pawns, but that's also going to cost the lovely dragon bishop from g7 on this long diagonal. So yeah, I believe it was just a brain slip in the opening. He mixed up two lines, the castles line and the c5 line, and ended up in a pretty desperate situation. He goes knight f6, fair enough. But yeah, the position is pretty bad. I'll go e5, he's going to take on e7. Oh no, he doesn't take on e7. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have started with e5, but it doesn't make that much of a difference. The position is just pretty hopeless. 2 pawns. I think at the moment it's 3, but I have a feeling that the e7 pawn might not be with us for very long. So I guess I should just get some pieces into the game and enjoy my 2 extra pawns. No immediate wins, but don't need to. It's a bit of a strange move. I'm committing this sin, which I'm often committing, that yeah, when I'm material and position up and time, let's not forget about the good old time, that I sort of lose focus and start playing slightly sub-optimal moves, let's say. And that has happened here. I'm still more or less winning, but Julian is doing a good job of staying in the game, which is a chance I should not have given him. He can take on e5 now, but that opens this diagonal for this bishop, which might cause problems down the stretch. And yeah, he lost some time, but the position is still very bad because danger is looming along this diagonal. Thanks for the game, Mr. Julian. Let's see whom else we got. Another new guy. Let's give him a very unfriendly welcome, Mr. Abu Zeit. By unfriendly welcome, I mean crush him, of course. I'm happy about every new and old premium member we have, because that's what keeps this site going, so we can do all the exciting and the less exciting, like my stuff, on Chess24. If you aren't a premium member yet and you want to partake, then by all means consider it. 10 euros a month or whatever it costs. I believe it's worth it. I might be biased, but I think it is. Such a lot of stuff out there. d4, d5 against Abu Zeit. You never know, with guys around 1500, he could be rated around 1500, or he could be a very strong new player who just started playing. So I'm always slightly concerned when I face someone who's 1500. But what can I do? I switched to d4 for one game, playing the Queen's Gambit, which is a pretty mainstream opening, so I'm a little surprised it got Abu Zeit out of book. He needed a long time to come up with 2 e6 here, but I'm not complaining. I'll go knight c3. You could write a book about whether one should go knight c3 or knight to f3. But knight c3 is thought in that move order to put a little more pressure on the black position, particularly if black goes knight f6. Here after cd, ed, there are some advantages to still having this knight on f3. And similarly after knight takes d5, e4, knight takes c3, b takes c, then the main move is c5 when knight f3 would transpose to a line which we call the semi-Tarrasch, but white has some other options because of the move order, one of which I would choose. I haven't decided which yet. Well, elaborate should we get there. Here we are, and here knight f3 transposes to this semi-Tarrasch. It's a solid line for black, cd, cd, bishop b4 check. There are some moves like a3, which might look ridiculous, but that makes some sense because it stops black from going bishop b4 check, simplifying the position. And since white has a space advantage, it's useful for white to keep more pieces on the board. So that's the thinking behind a3. There's theory behind it too. I believe e5 is a move here. This might have been a game. Kramnik's Fiddler, and he plays that. Wow, very booked up, Mr. Abu Zeit. That's confusing. Now I'm out of book, which is sad, but what are you going to do? d5 looks like the natural reaction to me, building a passed pawn. I'm not sure, you could make a case for de when queen a5 check would follow, or for just developing with knight f3. But I have a feeling this passed pawn will come in handy in this game. Bishop d6, knight f3. Could also discuss knight f3 if maybe it was more sensible to start with bishop d3 and put the knight on e2. But yeah, I don't think it makes a major difference. I'll be humble, put this bishop here. Also not sure about that one. I'm sort of questioning every single one of my moves in this phase. Bishop d3 made sense as well, but then in some lines bishop g4. The pin bothered me, and it bothered me that the bishop could maybe get hit after knight d7, knight c5. Hang on, maybe I should try to be a little precise here. Not sure if this is precise, but my point is if he goes knight c5, which I guess is his idea, then I want to go knight to d2 and protect the e4 pawn without having boxed in my own bishop. Therefore, I went bishop e3 first, so bishop knight to d2, should I have to play it, does not restrict his view. b6, short castles. Abu Zeit playing well, but taking a lot of time, which sometimes you need later on to not get flagged. I'm telling you right now. Resting Pieces was a big fan of the Rubinstein video series. That's who did that? Kazim in the old days? Or maybe I participated, I can't even remember. Maybe Kazim and Paco Vallejo as well. I'm not sure if there are any other player profiles in the works. I did a bunch of small short videos on Levan Aronian recently when Yusupov was here, which we haven't published yet. Might do that one day. Else, yeah, it's not a priority to be honest, but can always be thought of. But I think there's others, right? Svidler did a video series on Tal and stuff like that. I don't really know any players. Or, nah, that's not true. But yeah, we'll think about it. It's currently not a priority, but I'm glad you liked the Rubinstein series. I was playing well here, trying to redirect his knight to e8, because ideally, if you want to blockade this passed pawn somehow, you want to do it with the knight, not with the bishop. So after knight e8, then it would be ill-advised for me to take on d6. Now after rook c8, I'm not that sure, but I still feel it's not necessary. Structure is nice for me. I can maybe prepare a4, a5, play on the queen side, and at the right moment, which might be next move already, I'll very much consider taking on d6, following it up with rook c6 and rook fc1. Goes back to a6. Looks like he's changed his mind. And I'm gonna go here. If knight c5, then I might have to think a bit, but my plan was to just simplify here into a position which I think, how often am I gonna say I think, which looks close to winning to me because of the structure. After bishop c5, probably bc5, rook c4, something like that. Or yeah, same deal. Not sure if I evaluated this correctly. But I had the feeling this has to be close to winning, because here the passed pawn really does matter. And rook activity, my rook is on this open file. C-pawn is not such a big danger because my king can get to it reasonably quickly. So unless Abu Zeit can keep me busy here pretty much immediately, I think he's gonna have a hard time defending this endgame. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. This king can look after the c-pawn, so it's not a real threat, while the passed d5 pawn is here to stay. Now I'm gonna pick up the c-pawn with rook c1 next. That endgame should be pretty straightforward win. Give me that. Yeah, the pawn ending, of course, is hopeless against the passed pawn, because passed pawn in a pawn endgame always means the king can never stray too far away from it. Here, yeah, many ways lead to Rome. Kind of like g5, g8, everything wins with this passed pawn. There's really no discussions, but I kind of like fixing the structure here. h4 was a little careless because it makes it easier for him to break through with f6 and g5. But was still winning, and Abu Zeit resigns, was running low on time. Thanks for the game. Good game there. Must find someone else. What about Master 2222? See if he's here. And the Master. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with e4. He says hello, so that means he's probably here. Hello, Master 2222. Is that your FIDE rating? Very close to his chess 24 rating. Could be. Is that master level? I always get very confused with all these categories. Master, candidate master, national master. I don't have a clue. And I don't have a clue about the Berlin. So I'm gonna play rook e1, not d4. Knight f6. Why is knight f6 wrong in this move order? Knight d6 is the move that everyone plays. Not 100% sure what's wrong with knight f6, frankly. Should know such stuff, but I do not. Not sure if it's d4 or if I'm supposed to just go knight takes e5 when I would assume he goes bishop e7 and then d4. Probably that's the easier way to do it. I was getting ambitious, but I'm not sure if this is correct. d4, e4, I wanted to play d5. Then I'd say knight to e7 with a very strange position. Not sure, we'll find out. But yeah, I guess the main reason is just knight takes e5, bishop e7, d4, and it's hard for black to untangle his pieces, which is why they normally go knight to d6. d4 looks like it threw master into some deep thought. I don't see any other move, but e4, if he allows d takes e5, he's just going to be in trouble. So he has to go here. And I'm going to stick to my probably ridiculous idea, but as they say, if you set A, you gotta go with B. I don't think anybody says that. It's probably a German saying. Yeah, here 97 worries me. This was my intention, but I have a feeling it's not 100% sound after c6. For example, not quite sure how I can justify all my creativity. c6, I want to go knight takes e4, threatening knight d6 checkmate, and if he takes, rook takes, and takes on b5, then I wanted to, once again, do something. Knight takes d5. Yeah, not sure I'm going to be able to punish that. Let's see what comes to mind. Knight e4, of course, the most obvious move, but then bishop e7, and I don't really see a way to proceed. I could go knight d6 check then, with some compensation for the pawn, but nothing too exciting. Let's see if I can spot anything better. Bishop c4, he has to go c6. No, don't see a way forward there. So I'm going to take. He's gonna play bishop e7, and I'm gonna play knight d6 check because I can't see anything better. Oh, what am I doing? I'm going nuts. Oh, apologies to myself. Oh boy, my plan was to take on d5 now, assuming that this knight was pinned, but clearly this is not the case. Oh, temporary insanity, which means I'm now just a piece down. And I don't really think there's any justifications for it. Madness. All right, what to do? Gotta hang in there. But yeah, huge blunder. Haven't had one of those for a while. Sometimes you just have weird blackouts, especially in unfamiliar situations. Pattern recognition went a little nuts. Not sure why I thought this. I almost took on d5, like being very pleased with myself, but not a good idea. Knight b6 I'm surprised about. I thought it was easier for him to go knight c7 and then to go to e6. Now I can at least feel some amount of hope. Probably his idea is to go a6 and then trap this bishop over here. But still, feels like there should be something now. Let's see if I can come up with something. Maybe that's just nothing. Bishop e3. Once again, bishop d6 picks up the queen. Bishop b6 is not enough. So c5 looks like the only decent move to me. When I guess best is knight d5, defending this bishop and then intending to castle away, because after ab5, cb6, black might still be winning, but there might be some troubles. We'll find out. Does take, I'll take. Probably rook a6, yeah, well played. But still, it ain't over yet. Actually, it's kind of over. Yeah, rook a6 was strong. I missed that from afar as well. Nah, this has not gone according to plan. Problem is, if I took here queen e7, queen b6, there is a little detail of queen b6, queen e1 checkmate, which is very unpleasant. So I'm looking for any sort of trickery, but don't really see it. Nah, I'm just lost. I'll stick around as usual, but this has not gone according to plan. Then again, if you blunder a piece in one move, it's hard to hope for anything better. Master, b4, so aggressive. Probably a good move, but very aggressive. Yeah, as they say, in a bad position, there are no good moves, and I believe being a piece down does qualify as a bad position, so not that much I can hope for. But it ain't over till it's over, or till you resign, which maybe some fairer sportsman would do. But I'm sure if you've seen this show before, I can't be accused of any fair sportsmanship. Rook e4 is very creatively flinging his pieces all across the place. I'll do the same thing. I can only benefit from confusion. I'm already lots of material down. Yeah, sort of dead lost. What to do? I should just speed up. He hasn't been playing very quickly, and hope that gets me somewhere. But yeah, the position, of course, is fairly hopeless. By fairly, I mean totally. Still taking a lot of time, which is the only thing that instills any hope in my heart. Of course, the position itself, nothing we have to talk about. Totally lost, and probably I should at least play quickly if I'm gonna struggle on here. Because, yeah, it's not gonna change for the better. Master shows no intentions of speeding up at the very least, which I'm happy to see. Some hope. A lot of hope all of a sudden. Oh, let's not blunder the queen to get rid of all this newfound hope. Turn the tables, piece down. But yeah, that was one of the bigger blunders I've done recently. Should have lost that game. I was very pleased with myself here. I went knight takes e4, and my big idea after bishop e7 was to give this check so the bishop is pinned, and then after cd6, queen d5, the pinned bishop clearly can't recapture, but something mixed up in my head. And yeah, here knight takes d5 would have been a pretty decent move, so apologies for that, master. 222, strange game, but what to do? Play someone else, I would guess. Let's play against Yokit, another newcomer apparently. A lot of newbies. Trying to turn chess 24 into a, what do you call this, into a frat house. Gotta give the newbies a rough welcome. Yeah, I've changed lines again for this game. We're going with c4, g3, and we're adjusting the tie. Because Yokit looks like he has an impressive beard, so I feel I should dress properly at the very least. Strange move order. In general, I'm more comfortable in these English positions once I get my pawn to d4, as I did here. Less comfortable in these slow positions where white has to go d3, and a lot of boring maneuvering ensues. But we'll see what Yokit has up his sleeve. This, after castles, is a very theoretical line. Queen a5 is the trendy move. Knight takes d4 has been around forever. Some aggressive-minded players like to play d6 here, which is sort of an incorrect pawn sacrifice. But nevertheless, you see it around quite a bit. Knight g4 also a move, which Grandmaster Carsten Müller once played against me. I believe in a Bundesliga game, but I think it's not the best choice here. Queen a5 is the cool move. Let's see if Yokit is up to date with recent theoretical trends. Czech GM is saying, you missed the rook with bishop p on kingside. Yep, I did certainly do that. Yokit takes on d4. That's the old school line, nothing wrong with it. Here, queen d3 is the move I used to learn in my childhood when I was like 18. I had a rough childhood. Bishop g5, I believe, is also a legit move. Rook b8 takes me out of book, but yeah, it's a typical plan to prepare a6 and b5. Rook d1, I guess you should go knight d7 to discourage me from any ideas of going c5 myself. If I went a6 now, for example, I would certainly consider pushing c5. And probably do it. Bishop f5 is another idea, which might make sense here to provoke e4. Goes bishop d7, which mildly tempts me into, once again, considering c5 if takes bishop f4. And mild temptation is all I need to dramatically overreact. But seriously, I think this is a good idea. Now, if the rook moves, then I have bishop takes b7, so I guess the best move could be bishop to f5. Well, I haven't decided if e4 works or if I want to move my queen somewhere. Probably e4 actually works, maybe it's just losing material. And yeah, if the rook goes somewhere, bishop takes b7 looked pretty dangerous. So yeah, the c5 breakthrough is something you always want to keep an eye out for in all these positions. And Yokit resigns. Might be a little early, but he does lose the exchange after, let's say, rook c8, bishop takes b7. It's a bit of a problem. Therefore, he does resign. Let's play someone else. Oh, someone higher rated than me. Scared. An international master called Saya. See if I can bring up the board properly for once. I'm almost there. Where's Mr. Saya from? From Chile, Pablo Salinas. Let's see what he's up to. Goes d4. I guess I'm gonna stick to my main stuff for this game. Let's see what happens. Good old Vienna. Problem with the Vienna is, of course, check out my video series. I think it's a good video series, part 2 of the d4 repertoire. Both sides have to be very precise and booked up here. And nowadays I live in constant fear that people have watched my video series and know all my secrets here. But such is life if you publish all your stuff. Anyway, we're playing one of the main lines here, rook e1, short castles, queen e2, interesting. Not the main try. I'm going to go knight to d7. In general, against all these lines where white doesn't go for a very quick knight to e5, it makes sense to go knight d7 and after bishop d3. Look for some counterplay with c5. Here I'm not sure about it. You could make a case for knight f6 or sometimes even ridiculously slow moves like rook b8 intending b6, but this looked principled. He goes d5 and I guess I should go here. Don't want anything too bad happening along the e-file. But yeah, looks like Saya knows what he's doing here, while I don't. e d5 is interesting, but very, very risky. I can't resist though, can I? Grabbing a pawn. I believe bishop d7 is probably a more conservative move. The point is after e d5 he goes bishop f6 and I can't take back with the bishop. I can't decide. Nah, I'll go here. Should also speed up. Looks like this is a 3-minute game. So apologies for the lack of commentary that's about to come. I have to focus. Don't trust my position, to be honest with you, but I don't see a forced win for white either. Rook 81 looks natural. When I'm gonna have to think once again. Maybe bishop to a4. Goes knight g5. This is way over my head stuff again. ed, what's happening? Bishop f6, bishop f6, bishop h7, king f8. Can't see it. No time to calculate. Let's see. Queen h5 immediately. Yeah, he's just too strong. Well, I'm too weak. This was actually not outside of the realm of possibility. But yeah, this queen h7 and queen h8 is a bit of a problem. It's just checkmate or anything I can do. Nah, that's a sad game. Yeah, looks like it's just checkmate. h6, queen f7, followed by queen g6. No, I'm just getting crushed here. I don't like getting crushed. But what can you do? No, there's no defenses there. Don't see one. I'll go h6 and I'll resign in a couple moves. Because yeah, queen f7, queen g6 just seems to finish the game. Bishop h7 wins as well. But then at least I can continue a little bit. But yeah, this and queen g6 pretty much ends it. And I'm gonna resign. Nice game, Saya. I don't think this line is supposed to be that crushing, but frankly I missed d5 when I played c5, and probably this is a position where you should first go knight f6 to prepare c5 or b6, bishop b7, when white is compensation for the pawn he has on all these lines, but I don't think it's any more than that. So yeah, that was a bit of an unfortunate mix-up, because after c5, d5, things are already kind of dangerous. Good game by Saya, who did completely crush me. Don't like being completely crushed, but gotta give credit where credit is due. Let's find someone else. Get my mojo back. Mr. Luke Snokes. Looks like I never played Luke Snokes. And yeah, as it's being pointed out, my weakness, my love for pawn grabbing got the better of me in that one. Not really, I just missed queen h5, but the position was already very dangerous. Luke Snokes looks like he wants to play a less dangerous position. The 4 knights. What do you call this? I believe it's called the 4 knights. I don't know what it's called. 4 knights Rui Lopez. Anyway, bishop c5 is one of the interesting moves here. c6 is another one, sacrificing that e5 pawn for speedy development. Knight d3, bishop b6. Short castles, and I think I'm supposed to go d5. Can't remember theory here. The main move is e5 instead of short castles. Here I'm not 100% sure. Looks like Luke is. So once again I'm being out-prepared every other game. Now maybe instead of d5 I was supposed to start with c6. Anyway, doesn't matter. Gotta work with what I got here. And I'll try to play actively, see where it leads us. Queen e1, knight e4. Offering up a second pawn in the hope of finding some compensation for it. My point is if he takes d, queen e4, I want to go... I might change my mind on that one. I want to go bishop f5 and hope that his queen doesn't have a convenient square. However, I'm currently wondering if after queen b7 I really have enough for all these pawns I've sacrificed. Goes h3, which is a surprise because I think I can take here, no? At least I will. The point is gh, knight f3 check, and if knight e4, d e4, we play the same position we just had, but without his h pawn, which should help my case. Luke Snokes seems to have trouble with knight forks. Not sure why I didn't do it immediately, but it's still there. Yeah, it was a bit ridiculous. I didn't give this check first, because I had seen it. I just wanted to get rid of this knight first. Not really necessary, but still I'm a rook up, which normally is enough for me. Never know, but normally it is. c3, I don't want him to go d4, so I will impede Mr. d-pawn's progress. Queen g3 is not gonna... Well, you're gonna get on d4, but it's a stiff price to pay. Because recapturing is not legal, sorry, Luke Snokes. And yeah, Arm Specialist points out, I missed the queen fork. I actually saw it, but kind of randomly took on d3 first. Still steaming. Whenever I lose a game, I'm gonna steam for a couple games. But not really, that was just a well-played game by him and a badly played game by me. That happens in 3-minute games. But whom to play next? Let's play the squeeze. Hope I don't get squeezed though. I've been talking a lot about chess today and very little about the Oscars. I wanted to talk more about the Oscars, but I have to admit I haven't seen it, and I've only seen the winners and losers and not a lot of the show program. I'm glad that The Revenant didn't win, because I thought it was not a great movie. It was long and boring and depressing and nothing happened and didn't have much of a plot. I'm fine with DiCaprio getting his Oscar, so we got that out of the way and he can focus on making good movies again, not just movies where he has to suffer for years sitting in the snow to get his Oscar. This B4 is an important move, but it's been played many times by Viciana and others, so it's hardly a secret. And now black is comfortable with his pass pawn, roughly equal position. But yeah, I was glad Spotlight won, which I thought was a good movie, and that The Revenant didn't win, which I didn't enjoy. I was sad that Fury Road didn't get the Oscar for Best Director. Like, Best Movie might have been a bit much, but Best Director, come on, that was a great movie. Didn't have any plot, but the directing was great. And it did win like six minor Oscars, but I thought it deserved the Best Director Oscar as well. So that was disappointing that they gave that to The Revenant. And Mr. Iñárritu, back to back. Like, he's a great filmmaker, and I liked Birdman, but I just didn't think The Revenant was a very good movie. What else I got? Yeah, I mentioned DiCaprio. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Stallone not winning an Oscar as well. I don't think his acting in Creed was so much out of this world. And I'm sure he has some Oscars for some old stuff anyway, right? So I didn't think. I might be wrong about this, but I didn't think it was a case of a career Oscar. And I thought the dude from Bridge of Spies was pretty good, even though I didn't like the Bridge of Spies movie all that much either. It was an alright movie, but somehow, yeah, very much a family movie. With Tom Hanks, you know, he's never gonna be the bad guy. And yeah, I thought it was alright, but not great. But this, what's his name, Mark Rylance, I thought did very well, so was happy with that. And I should talk a bit about chess before the squeeze squeezes me. We have, yeah, pretty much both developed our pieces in the structure, which is roughly equal. Black has the passed b-pawn, which is nice, while white has a pawn majority in the center. So I believe it's more or less equal. I'd probably rather be black here, because with this passed pawn, there's some more long-term potential. He goes e3. I'm not sure if that means he wants to prepare d4. Probably not, but I will try to prevent it anyway. First by hitting d4, c4, sorry, with rook c8. And now after bishop c6, if he goes d4, I can probably go queen b7, asking some questions on this long diagonal. So I still don't think it's a good idea. Even though it doesn't lose material, something like d4, queen b7, knight somewhere. But it felt a little risky. Knight d2 is a better move. Nothing better than exchanging these bishops. Put my queen here, just to see how he plans to react. And yeah, the status quo remains pretty much the same. Could think about some jumps, knight g4, knight e5. I'm not sure they really yield me anything. Well, why not? Doesn't look ridiculous. And maybe it scares him a little bit. As debates wonders if Oscars are only for American movies. I believe, yeah, they have an Oscar for the best foreign movie, but I believe it's normally only, yeah, Hollywood movies in the main categories. Could be wrong about this, but I think it is like that. Oh, the squeeze has forgotten about the clock, the thing I normally do. He probably just realized it. Panically played bishop a1. Now he's going to have to blitz out some moves. Well, I'll just make random moves, not forcing the issue, knowing that he has some time troubles. No, there could be some d3 troubles as well. And therefore the squeeze resigns, got squeezed himself. Thank you for the game. Let's play somebody else. Nah, Tom Hardy was the only good thing about The Revenant. I would have been fine with Tom Hardy getting an Oscar in general. I like Tom Hardy, and he was involved in Mad Max, which I thought was great, and in The Revenant, where, yeah, I thought his villain character was very good. Or, well, it might show I'm a bit of a villain. I didn't even think his villain did anything that outrageous. Well, arguably. But I'm not sure. It's alright to spoil stuff now, right? I think the Revenant has been out forever. Nah, maybe. Maybe I still shouldn't do it. I should spoil Mospork 482's mood instead. Let's see if I manage to do that, at the very least. Looks like it's another new guy. Probably hasn't played the game here yet. And I'm gonna stick with my 1e4s. Yeah, I'm not sure if Tom Hardy would be a good James Bond. I'd like Idris Elba. Idris Elba's a good guy. Had a good movie as well, this Beasts of No Nation. I think he'd be a cool James Bond. Who else? Haven't given the next James Bond topic that much thought. Haven't given the Najdorf topic that much thought either. I'll go bishop e3, and it looks like Mospork 482 goes for the infamous Dragendorf, combining the dragon with the Najdorf. It's not supposed to be a great opening because in many dragon lines you don't need to go a6. And it looks like he's not done with his crossover. He also wants to play the Scheveningen. He wants to play all the openings wrapped into one, which is a very ambitious plan. But why not? e6, however, does give me a target on d6, which I shall direct my efforts towards. If black castles, I'm going to do standard dragon stuff, h4, h5, but if he doesn't, if he plays like b5 or something, I will already strongly consider going knight b3 and just attacking the d6 pawn, which has been weakened by e6. So the Dragendorf is playable if you, instead of e6, play whatever, b5. But throwing e6 into the mix really looks like it's asking for trouble. He goes h5. And now I just can't help myself. I'm too greedy. I'm gonna go after the pawn. More dynamic player might have played bishop g5 or bishop h6 or whatever. But it's a pawn right there. It's hard to defend. Can go knight e8, but looks a bit passive, and else it's really hard to keep that pawn. Yeah, I've worked out on my Scheveningen. It's not that bad. Goes d5, which I'm gonna take. And yeah, sometimes there's some compensation for the pawn after, let's say, knight d5 or e d5 takes, but here I don't really see any since he's wasted a bit of time. I could also play positionally here if after bishop, let's say bishop d4 or even bishop c4. No, not bishop c4. That would also be better, but we've discussed this. I do like pawns. Here, I actually did some calculating because if he goes b5, I believe I have to take on f6 and then play bishop d4. But I could not see anything wrong with it. Goes knight c6, and Jan Mospork has played very sensible stuff after the opening. And he's posing me some problems, but hopefully they aren't too serious just yet. Still with some problems because of his development, his initiative. And once again, my greed got me into a bit of trouble, but here I think it's still under control. If he takes on d5 twice, he might... I was going to say he might be able to win his pawn back, but even that I'm not sure about. Well, knight e5 just allows me to take here, which is more or less winning. How do I do this? Probably takes... and just takes here. And now, yeah. I expertly converted an exciting dragon, Scheveningen, Najdorf position into an endgame, a pawn up, which is less exciting but more winning, so can't complain too much. F7, give me that. Mospork hanging in there. But 2 pawns are 2 pawns, so I don't think he should be able to hang around forever. Still, putting up a fight here. Rook c8. No threats yet, as far as I can tell, even though I might blunder knight d3 at a certain moment, but not yet. Because I do enjoy knight forks myself. And Mospork resigns. Sorry, Mospork. Yeah, I believe in the opening those were a few liberties. Too many, like a6 and g6 already risky, but then combining it with e6 is just too much. Playmaster Leo Vieira, number 86, probably the year of birth or the year of the Football World Championship in Mexico, or both. Was it Mexico, 86? I think so. I was still young in 86, believe it or not. So I don't have much recollection. I do recall 1988 with the villain Marco van Basten in the 88th minutes in the semi-finals. It was a tough day for me. And I recall 1990 when Andy Brehme scored the penalty against Goico Echea. This line I don't really know, but I like to live dangerously e6 and take all his pawns as usual. See if he can checkmate me in return. Looks quite scary, frankly. I'm not sure if this is a correct gambit or whatnot. It's probably one of those where in order to be safe one should return some pawns, which I'm not going to do. I'm going to keep them all and wait for the punishment. And there it might be already. This looks extremely scary. Oh boy, I'm gonna get checkmated again. We'll find out. The point is if I go bishop e2, which is normal, he goes rook e8, knight c3, knight d4, and it's gonna be very, very tough to stick around. So I had to come up with this, but it does not inspire me with lots of confidence and trust. Apart from the fact that I might be able to grab some more pawns without developing anything, but the getting checkmated probability is worryingly high here. As for the line, I've never seen this, knight c6. My guess is it's probably not 100% correct, but a cute little idea. And Leo Vieira wants to show off by going knight e4, which is interesting. I was thinking about this as well, but I'm not sure how much it scares me. If queen d3, his pawn is knight f2, king c2, knight b4 check, which does scare me a little bit. And I have a feeling I'm gonna have to bail out here and go bishop takes e4. After queen e4, probably queen f3 check, get rid of the queens. When he has some compensation enough to win one pawn back, let's say takes and knight e5. But I've survived the worst, and if I'm able to get my pieces out, remaining one pawn up, let's say, I'm going to be quite happy with it. Bishop c5 shall develop a little bit. Once in a while, even I like to develop some pieces. What's the pawn count? I'm 2 up at the moment. He can take on f2. I don't think he will, because he is more comfortable sacrificing pawns than taking them. But yeah, now I think I'm fine. once again, if I have to give one pawn back as the price for concluding development, I'm gonna be able to live with it. And now is the time to take on f3. There's nothing better, but my pieces are slowly crawling out. The knight already has a very nice square on e4. My king is gonna go to e2 or c2 next, probably e2. And yeah, not that much compensation, but still very exciting opening by Leo Vieira 86. Bishop f6 looks best. He goes a6. Now I can activate without any great efforts, and I'm starting to have a pawn and the compensation, which is a better position, which I tend to like having. As debates asks if I ever played a cheater. Yeah, unfortunately it happens a lot in online chess, and it's very regrettable even in these Banter Blitz shows. Sometimes happened, like I'm not in charge of it, but we have a team that's looking for cheaters on Chess24, and once in a while I'm being told that they had to ban somebody. I do have a pretty good feeling for when I'm playing a cheater or when not, but I tend to not make accusations. Yeah, I'm not a fan of cheating, not only in online chess, but in general, because it's just destroys chess. It always gets chess into the media, and people think, yeah, similarly as with Tour de France, if everybody's cheating or if everybody's doping, this is not a sport we wanna, or a game we wanna follow. So yeah, please don't do it. And also, especially for the premium members who do it in Banter Blitz, I can't really follow their logic, because if you get caught, I believe I'm not sure what happens, but yeah, I don't think it's worth it. Rook e8, Rook d8 targeting this pawn, so I guess I should just cover it. It sounds like my phone is playing something while I'm playing here. Let's switch that off. And how do I make progress here? f4 looks natural. This knight is too actively placed. If it goes to g6, I can switch gears, go rook g1 and go after the g7 pawn. So it should go to c6, when I will probably still go rook g1 and try to get him to defend a little bit. Because it feels like Leo Vieira is more comfortable attacking than defending, at least with the opening he played. And move like rook g8, which looks forced, is nothing a natural born attacker likes to do all that much. Thinking about what I want to do after rook g8, maybe f5, try to grab some more space, get my bishop a nicer view. But there's other options. f5, the problem is it gives the square up for the knight again, but after rook g8, f5, knight e5, I think I have bishop f4, which looks quite pleasant. New TV show being plugged, 11/22/63. Stephen King stuff. I'm not a big Stephen King guy, sorry. But thanks for the tip, I'll check it out. And yeah, I fully agree with Don Williams that false accusations are as big a problem to create a witch hunt and yeah, put someone's reputation at stake, because that's the good thing if a cheater is caught. Even an online cheater, I believe, but especially in real life chess, their reputation tends to be sort of ruined in chess because people don't forget that. But of course, yeah, one has to be extremely careful with the wrongful accusations as well. But if, yeah, nobody cheated, there would be no wrongful accusations either, so really, it all comes down to people cheating and creating that atmosphere of paranoia, which is not a good thing to have. Leo Vieira, I believe he lost on time in a bad position, but not a resignable position. But yeah, funky opening there by Leo. After knight f6, c4 is a bit provocative. The main move here is d4, just returning the pawn. But I felt greedy as usual, and after c4, e6, c6 is what they normally do when dc6 really is too insane. So here you just go d4, transpose to the pawn of After e6, de, this I'd seen, and they play something like bishop e6, but knight c6. Interesting gambit line there by Leo. And yeah, I'm glad I survived this onslaught somehow. Alright, another game. I believe this is gonna be the last one, or if it's quick, maybe I'll play 2 more, but I have a feeling this might be our last game against some more newbies. Let's play Regina Cool. Okay, I'll play 2 more. I'll play against Regina, and then I'll look for another strong opponent. After Regina, I'll try to find someone to serve as a redeemer. And then that's it for today. I was planning to go to the movies, but there's really nothing at the movies. It's kind of sad. And I'll repeat this language I've played in an earlier game, intending to get into a same-ish. Spotlight is running, but I've already seen Spotlight. It's highly recommended if you haven't seen it yet. Like, it's not an action-packed movie, but it's just, yeah, good acting, good story, good movie. But else, there's just nothing worth seeing. We're continuing our little Grünlich theme tournament after f3, followed by e4. Knight b6 is normal. Knight c3, bishop g7, bishop e3. Check out Peter Svidler's Grunfeld series for details here, and pretty much the games of everybody at the world top. e5 is a move, knight c6 is the main line, f5 they used to play. A lot of stuff here, but knight c6, long castles, and then either f5 or queen d6 are the 2 main lines. Yeah, here we go, queen d6. I believe it's a trendy move. I'm not sure if Svidler recommended f5 or queen d6. f5 is what we've recently seen in a game between Mr. Magnus Carlsen and Li Chao, where Magnus won a nice game after f5, e5. I've always slightly mistrusted f5, just positionally, because after e5, it's very hard to get this bishop working. While queen b6, I'm not 100% up to date with the latest theory debates. And a5, I'm not up to date with at all. But it looks like a very sensible move as well. I'm gonna try to mirror it, go h4, and go for an attack here. And since today is my aggressive day, I'll play g4 here, intending hg, h5. Not really in my style, but going h5 here with so many pieces away from the king side is sort of asking for it. But Regina is not spending any time on capturing there. Goes a4 and takes back on h5 with a pawn. Very provocative. I need some rook on the g file, so I better get my knight out of the way so I can go rook g1. a3, I'll go b3. I could have spent a tempo reacting to this, but I had the feeling my achievements on the king side were greater than hers or his, but I'm assuming hers with the name, on the queen side. Okay, time to put a rook here. I guess it's one of those cases where I should not unduly worry about queen takes h4. This pawn is not a priority, and if she takes, there's bishop to g5, followed by bishop f6. Here, it's very tempting to just take on g7. I'll think for a second if I can see anything more forcing. Yeah, maybe going here is even stronger. Just to take here, put the other rook on g1. Yeah, allowing gh5 is not supposed to end well in such a position. Yeah, no, this should be ugly for black. Rook g1 coming, rook h5. It's just checkmate. And yeah, thanks as Debates mentions that he liked this series with Yusupov on prophylaxis. So did I, because frankly, I learned a lot from it. Because yeah, it's all Artur's material. I was just sitting there asking dumb questions, and yeah, he's amazing. Great guy to have around, has so much material, knows so much about chess, of course. Incredible chess culture, so always an honor to have him here, even though, of course, he's a busy man, so we can't have him all the time. But yeah, check out that prophylactics, tough word, that was the main problem with the series. If you haven't seen it yet, I believe it will make everybody a better chess player. It certainly gave me a lot of food for thought. which you can't see in this Banter Blitz. I really haven't prevented a single thing in any of my games, but I do like the concept anyway. Knight d4, what concept do I like now? I guess the concept of taking stuff. Rook g7 one as well. But I'm a simpleton. I like grabbing things. And here, after queen d4, there's troubles. So yeah, my attack has been a little overwhelming. And therefore, Regina Cool does resign. All right, I'll play one more. Let's see if I can find someone. Let's play against Mr. Pipi Derbez. 2700 from Mexico, even though I think he's Belgian, Mexican or something. Let's see what he's up to. Goes e4. I'll stick to my guns. Oh, King's Gambit. Exciting. I normally go g5. d5 nowadays has become even more popular than g5. And it's sort of been on my to-do list to have a look at it, but I haven't done it yet. So I'm gonna stick to my crap for this game. This is all theory. Instead of knight c6, there's also g4. But I do vaguely recall thinking this was a good idea. Can't recall why I thought that though. What am I supposed to do now? Probably here. Not 100% sure. Maybe also a6. I'm sure I've looked at this, but as usual, the good old memory problems. Yeah, the King's Gambit is not a good opening, but it does lead to a lot of very interesting positions and complications, a lot of non-standard stuff. So it's certainly worth staying in touch with. And now I believe I should pull the trigger and go g4. No, I'm not sure. The structure... Yeah, I don't see anything better. The structure after takes either pawn or bishop takes knight h4 is never that clear, even though it sort of has to be good for black, but there is some compensation. And yeah, here, I'm not sure, maybe I should have taken with a pawn to cover the f5 square. Might end up in trouble if I keep playing crappy moves. Bishop e3, at least that gives me time to cover this square when I'm a little more positive about life itself again. Queen d2. Problem is I want to go queen d7, but that sort of blocks my bishop's view from c6. So I guess I shouldn't do that. I'm also not sure if I want to go h5 or not. Guess I do, but not sure. In general, these positions, yeah, as I mentioned, they look great for black with the pass pawn on f3, but they're not that simple. They're quite deceptive. Bishop g5, all right. I'm not that concerned about being provoked to play f6. Maybe I should have been, but I'm not. b6, just so I can finally play queen d7. Could argue that I should have gone a5, not a6 as well. But life is full of choices. Yeah, white is decent compensation here, even if he goes d5 followed by bishop to d4. But I'm still a pawn up with nothing too terrible having happened to me. So we'll see how it goes. This has been a very pawn-grabby show with very mixed results and a piece blundery show. But I've been grabbing pawns pretty much every game I got the chance. So yeah, mixed results. Rook e1, I guess now is a decent time to get out of the way if a5, b5 and if b5, a5. So it's at least not obvious how to open the queen side. While if I get a little breather, I'll try to open the center with f5. Therefore, I guess white should go bishop to d4 at one point or another to stop me from doing that. When I have some ideas like bishop h6 followed by bishop g5, I think is what I'll go with for now. Not sure bishop b6 is on the agenda, but I strongly doubt it. Knight d1, not sure where that's headed. I have a feeling I still have an extra tempo to go here. Have a look at that dude. c4. And time to open things a little bit with f5. e5 is of course legal, or c5, but I still hope I can hold myself in the complications to come. Let's see how it goes. Goes knight c3. Probably a good decision. Once again giving me choices. Don't like choices. f4 is a move, bishop h4 is a move. So many options, so little time. Well, I'll take now. The problem, of course, my position is that this bishop is sort of dead. I'm trying to compensate by activating Mr. Knight. And we'll see how it goes. Very complicated situation. Where do I want Mr. Knight to go? Knight h3, check, king h1. Is there any progress to be made there? b5 takes. It's interesting. Very complicated, all this stuff. Oh yeah, let's do it. c6 was bad. Yeah, c6 was ridiculous. Well, what to do? Oh, I've misplayed this. What have I done to myself? Try to create a bit of counterplay at the very least. Very messy. I'm trying to clear the f3 square. See what happens. Does this work? Maybe it does work. Can't see why not, unfortunately. And there's not a lot of time left for either side, so it's speed up time. You should probably take and then take on f2 when I have no clue what's going on. I might be okay if I don't get checkmated too quickly. Knight e4, didn't see that move at all either. Guess I'll take. Counter correctly, I'm gonna pick up this guy with a decisive material advantage. Therefore, Pepe der Base resigns. Very exciting game. Good old King's Gambit. As I've mentioned many times, I don't believe in the King's Gambit at all, but it certainly leads to exciting positions. And now that he's resigned, I can decline his draw offer. That's it for today. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for giving me pawns, for checkmating me, for not checkmating me. It's been a couple of exciting games, and yeah, I didn't get many jokes in. I'm gonna have to work harder on my Oscar speech, Chris Rock style, but we'll do it next time. For this week, I believe I'm gonna do an opening clinic on Thursday. We haven't published it yet, but look for it. If you have any opening questions, let me know and I will try my best to answer them, because openings I tend to know my way around. Else, yeah, if you want to participate in all the fun, then become a premium member on Chess24. I believe it's worth it. Check out my new, check out my wallet, and check out my new video series with Artur Yusupov, which really is just Artur Yusupov series with me sitting there. It's highly recommended on prophylactic thinking. I believe it can change the way you approach the game. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.